Pregnancy and childbirth are a woman's job, right? Men don't really have a role in it. The words from Stephen reflected well the reason he wasn't supportive when I became pregnant. Just before this, I received a call from Brittany. Hello? Right now, your husband is at the hospital with a pregnant woman. Wait, what? Stephen is on a business trip. My mind was filled with confusion. I'm heading there right now. Turns out, Lisa and Stephen had been dating for the past year. The reason was due to Stephen's selfish thinking. There's no way I could let Stephen continue with his pathetic excuses. Normally, I'm quite reserved, but this time, my patience had truly run out. My name is Sarah. I used to work as a nutritionist in a general hospital, but for certain reasons, I've become a stay-at-home mom now. I met my husband Stephen about a year and a half ago at a friend's wedding. Unlike me, who struggles with conversation, Stephen was always the life of the party. We started talking at the after-party and exchanged contact details. Initially, I felt Stephen was a bit frivolous, but soon I was drawn to his outgoing nature, and we quickly decided to get married after just 6 months of dating. Soon after our marriage, I found out I was pregnant. Of course, I was thrilled about the baby, but with work and adjusting to married life, things got quite busy. I decided to quit my job and focus on raising our baby. The handover from that point was extremely hectic. Just when I thought I'd found a suitable replacement at work, I was devastated by some news. Our baby wasn't growing properly, leading to a heartbreaking outcome. The doctor told me, "It's not your fault, these things just happen sometimes," but I couldn't shake the feeling of regret. I blamed myself, thinking I had neglected taking care of my health because I was so swamped with work. As for my job, the transition was finally complete, and with the new replacement coming in, I decided to leave as planned. For a while, I chose to take it easy at home. When I announced my pregnancy, Stephen was thrilled. But, given his personality, he sometimes said things that hurt me. During my pregnancy, I was naturally very careful with my diet. I believe most expectant mothers would be, but I had an edge. I'm a qualified nutritionist. Using my expertise, I prepared healthy meals every day. But it seemed that wasn't enough for my husband. I can't eat these bland dishes all the time. But this menu is good for your health too. Eventually, Stephen began pushing aside the meals I prepared and started eating greasy fast food right in front of me. Yep, this is definitely the best. Being pregnant, my taste buds had changed, and often, I couldn't bear the smell of his food. Moreover, Stephen didn't quit smoking, even after knowing about our baby. It's one thing to smoke away from me, but he frequently lit up in the same room. Stephen, you know that smoking in front of me can harm our baby, right? I've heard about it, but a little bit won't hurt. You smoke every day even though you say that. It makes me feel sick too, so stop it. Well, ain't that a bummer? Stephen just playfully continued to smoke, making it impossible to have a serious conversation. As my pregnancy progressed, my belly started to show more. Wondering if I was pregnant or just a bit on the plump side, my husband began to tease me about my figure. Hey chubby, could you get me a Coke? I'm not gaining weight for no reason. It's because I'm pregnant. Don't say such trivial things. Chubby people need to exercise, right? I'm saying I'll let you go get me a Coke. What do you mean by letting me go? Isn't it just because he's too lazy to go buy it himself? Stop it, I'm not feeling well today and even moving hurts. If you want Coke, go buy it yourself. You really know how to kill the mood. If you were my ex-girlfriend, she'd at least say something like, "Sure, honey, I'll get it for ya." Being compared to his ex really ticked me off. Well, maybe you should have married her then. You see, when someone makes a joke, you should reply with a joke. You're calling this a joke? Fine, the Coke thing was a joke too. It's getting late. Good night. But even after that, my husband continued to make insensitive remarks. He even took a photo of my belly while I was sleeping and posted it on social media without my permission. I protested strongly, but all he said was, "Everyone found it funny, so what's the problem?" He sounded like I was talking to a child. By the way, I have a younger sister named Lisa, 2 years apart in age. Unlike me, who doesn't interact with many people and enjoys books and studying, my sister has always been outgoing and had many friends. She seems well aware of her strengths and often acts sweet and spoiled towards me. One morning during my pregnancy, I wasn't feeling well and had a doctor's appointment. I asked Stephen if he could lend me the car, but he said he wanted to take the day off and relax. While we were arguing, I got a call from my sister. "Hey Sarah, can you give me a ride today?" "I can't today, I have a hospital appointment." Then, through the phone, I heard Lisa's loud voice. "What?" "I took the day off because I want to go to an outlet mall in the suburbs." It's a hassle when someone suddenly asks for a favor. I asked Lisa why it had to be today. "There's a limited time sale on some designer items. I'm heading over now." It's a hassle, you know the outlet mall is far, right? What if I miss my appointment? You shouldn't be so selfish. You want to lose friends? Anyway, I'm on my way there now. She hung up without waiting for a response. Just got a call from my sister, she wants me to drive her to the outlet mall. Just take her, Lisa doesn't have a driver's license, right? But I have a hospital appointment later. Wait, how did you know Lisa doesn't have a license? Oh, that? You told me once before. Just take her, will you? Stephen was mumbling something unintelligible. In the meantime, Lisa, who lives nearby, quickly arrived at my house. You didn't have to come all the way here, Sarah was gonna pick you up from your place. Sorry for the inconvenience. Don't just decide things on your own. I've been feeling nauseous all morning and it's been a tough day as it is. She's so narrow-minded. Put up with her even if she's such a pain as a sister. I was the one who's been dragged into this. In the end, I had to drop my morning chores to accompany Lisa on her shopping trip. I wasn't interested in the outlet mall. But Lisa, being all excited, dragged me around so much that I felt like I might throw up. Our shopping took way longer than planned. I had to rush to drop her off, and I ended up being late for my doctor's appointment. Even when I got home and complained to Stephen, all he said was, "At least you were able to help out your sister," brushing it off casually. After the matter of the pregnancy ended, it took me a while to recover. For some time, I would tear up just seeing mothers with small children. Meanwhile, Stephen said he was gonna go see a friend's newborn and left the house. I decided to spend my day off relaxing and absent-mindedly scrolled through my phone all day. Eventually, Stephen came back home. The baby was so cute. Look at this picture. Sorry, I'm not in the mood to see baby pictures right now. It's supposed to be a happy occasion. You don't like seeing babies? Are you even a woman? His words deeply hurt me. It felt like he was implying that since I couldn't have a baby, I wasn't a true woman. Despite my subtle refusal, Stephen kept showing me the picture. The baby on his phone was indeed very adorable. I felt tears welling up in my eyes. See, I told you the baby is cute. You're even getting emotional about it. Yes, babies are adorable. I wanted one too. But right now, the pain of losing my baby is too much for me. Like I care. Your main role is to give birth. It's your fault you failed. I finally broke down crying. Stephen didn't seem to understand how I felt and continued to complain to a friend over the phone about our situation. So, what happened after all of that? One day, while spending a weekday at home, I received a call from a friend who works at a children's hospital. Hey, I saw your husband at the hospital with a pregnant woman. What? Stephen is on a business trip. Really? Well, congrats. The woman next to him is your sister. He's accompanying her, such a sweet husband. I haven't seen my sister in about 6 months and had no knowledge of her being pregnant. Are you sure, Brittany? Isn't it someone else? I don't think so. I clearly remember the wedding pictures you showed me at your place. I'm pretty sure it's your husband and your sister. I'm heading there right now. I quickly hung up the phone and headed to the hospital. I met Brittany when she was doing administrative work at a general hospital. Since we lived close by, Brittany took the initiative to start our friendship. Later, Brittany, who has a child, switched jobs to work at the hospital closer to her home. Even so, our friendship continued, and now we frequently visit each other's homes. She had joyfully looked at my wedding photos, which we often shared. Being the positive person she is, she probably realized my husband was accompanying my sister and called to congratulate me. I rushed to the hospital in my car. Just then, Stephen and Lisa were coming out of the entrance. I decided to try one of Stephen's favorite jokes on them. I appeared before them and said, "Congratulations on the pregnancy. What a lovely couple you make." Both of them looked startled, glancing at each other. Lisa's voice checked Steven as he tried to brush it off casually.
You haven't told Sarah about us yet, have you?
Lisa sighed and suggested we go to a nearby cafe. Of course, I agreed and drove them to the cafe.
Lisa, aren't you single? Do you have a baby on the way?
Yes, it's Steven's baby.
What do you mean? Why is there a baby between Steven and you?
We've been dating for the past year. I was shocked by Lisa's words. That would have been around the time we got married. Would that mean Steven was seeing both of us at the same time?
People might call it cheating, but I was serious about it. Seriously? Then what was our married life all about?
I enjoyed our time together, but I kinda got tired of just being with you. Steven says he prefers me. Their casual conversation gave me an intense feeling of discomfort. Apparently, during our wedding, Steven had taken a shine to Lisa, who's vibrant and outgoing, and they began communicating afterwards. It seems for Steven, our wedding was just another place to pick up women. To think he'd approach another woman at his own wedding.
Lisa is cuter than you and she's more fun to be around. It was only natural for me to fall for her at first sight.
Steven said it without a hint of shame.
I thought it was an opportunity when you got pregnant right after our wedding. It was the perfect time to get closer to Lisa. When you were pregnant, things we could do became limited and it got boring at home.
That's awful. So, that's why you weren't supportive during my pregnancy.
What do you mean by supportive? Pregnancy and childbirth are women's business. Men don't have anything to do with that.
He's right. Maybe you relied too much on Steven. Certainly, when I was pregnant, I didn't have much time or emotional space. But, is that a reason for someone to cheat? I began to realize my feelings for Steven were waning.
Besides, you started to get all gloomy when you had trouble with your pregnancy. I can't stand seeing that kind of negativity every day.
Yeah, I get it.
But unlike my sister, my pregnancy is going smoothly, and I'm gonna give birth to a healthy baby. See, younger women are just better.
At that point, I thought, there's no reason to accommodate this guy anymore. I felt determined to act on my feelings.
Got it. Let's get a divorce.
I thought it was an obvious decision, but Steven seemed visibly shaken.
Why the sudden decision? Can't you think it over?
I couldn't quite grasp what Steven was saying.
Why? Aren't you planning to raise a child with Lisa from now on? I'll continue dating Lisa. But I want my home to be with Sarah.
Both Lisa and I asked in unison, why?
Lisa is great to look at and we get along, but she doesn't work or do any chores, living at her parents'. I can't support her on my salary alone. So, you're saying you want to split the bills like we always have and occasionally visit Lisa? Yes. Don't you think that's the most peaceful solution?
Lisa and I replied in sync, no, we don't.
You think there's such a convenient arrangement? That's just not acceptable. Lisa and I were our little secret, you know? It added some spice to my life.
Steven's voice trailed off towards the end.
Steven, was that all your commitment worth? You never do anything at home, Lisa. And you're always wanting this lavish lifestyle. I have a lifestyle that suits me. My parents are still supporting me without complaining.
I could see that. My parents have always spoiled my sister, treating her like a princess. As a result, Lisa has always had high standards and a penchant for luxury. Even today, despite her noticeable baby bump, Lisa is pushing herself to wear high heels, and she's paired them with upscale bags and accessories to match. Not working and soon to be on maternity leave, such a lifestyle for Lisa seemed unreasonable. But that didn't mean I pity Steven. No, Steven.
I won't settle for a life like this. Let's get divorced. I'll find a divorce lawyer right now. We'll split our assets 50-50. Let's discuss further through a lawyer.
Steven's eyes widened.
You're gonna strip me of my money too? You're 100% the reason for our divorce. Own up to it. What am I gonna tell my parents and the company?
Lisa interrupts.
Just tell them you married someone new. Think I can just say that? Come on, Steven, you were joking earlier, right? Now that I'm pregnant, you're gonna marry me, aren't ya? Yes, I bless your union with Lisa too.
From behind Steven and Lisa, a silhouette approaches. Brittany, who finished her work, has joined us. I had texted her the location of this place. At a table for 4, Steven and Lisa sat on one side, and I sat opposite with Brittany. I'm Brittany. I've been good friends with Sarah. You're accompanying Sarah's sister to the hospital? That's so sweet of you. Brittany, clueless about the situation, beams with a smile. Stephen and Lisa clearly looked uncomfortable.
Well, the thing is…
Stephen looked at me with desperate eyes. I coldly ignored his gaze. Tell the truth, Stephen.
The thing is, I'm the father of Lisa's baby.
What do you mean?
Isn't Lisa here Sarah's sister?
Brittany looked back and forth between me and Lisa.
I cheated on Sarah with her sister while she was pregnant. I can't believe it. So, you're gonna divorce Sarah?
With a high-pitched voice, Brittany pressed him.
I plan on staying married to Sarah, but I might pop by Lisa's place every now and then. How can you think that'll fly? So, Lisa is gonna be a single mom?
I guess so. Stephen seemed like he hadn't thought that far ahead.
That's all you've considered? Let me be clear. You never once accompanied her to her checkups, and today, you just came along for the ride.
Brittany seemed to have some strong feelings about the matter.
When you arrived at the hospital, you quickly sat down, didn't help Lisa with her bags, and even made her handle the insurance card at the reception, right? What's your point? That's what partners do, right? I never once went with Sarah to the hospital when she was pregnant.
He sounded like he wanted praise just for showing up at the hospital.
I see pregnant women every day. I can tell you right now, if you keep this up, you're not gonna be a good father.
I was inwardly shocked to hear the usually mild-mannered Brittany speak so forcefully. But her observational skills during work were truly something to admire. Lisa seemed quite taken aback by Brittany's remark that Stephen not gonna be a good father.
Stephen is kind to me, you know. I'm not fooled by superficial kindness. Lisa, raising a child alone is tough. Monthly child support isn't gonna be enough. Child support?
If you don't marry, you have to pay.
That's your responsibility.
Quick math showed the expenses would be staggering. It didn't seem like a sustainable situation, but this was Stephen's own doing. Stephen seemed to grow anxious. Suddenly, he glanced at the cigarettes on the table.
Mind if I smoke? Absolutely not. There's a pregnant woman right beside you. Don't you even have that much awareness?
Brittany became even more stern, her expression turning fierce.
I just can't handle this tension. He didn't even quit smoking when I was pregnant. With that attitude, I'm worried about the future. Sarah, you'd be better off divorcing him. I'll go get a lawyer's contact for you. I'll need to borrow your car.
Brittany's decisiveness seemed to baffle both Stephen and Lisa, but to me, her assertiveness was reassuring. With her usual brisk pace, Brittany left the place, apparently headed to a lawyer's office. Stephen rested his forehead on his hand, elbow on the table.
What am I gonna do? Stay married to me and pay Lisa child support. Or divorce me and marry Lisa. Or pay alimony to both of us.
I laid out the three options for Stephen. Whichever he chose, tough times were clearly ahead.
Isn't there another way?
There isn't.
At the end of the day, this is a mess you made. If you could show it in your actions instead of money, great, but I don't see that happening.
I stared at the forlorn cigarette on the table.
I'll do my best. That vague promise ain't gonna cut it.
With no resolution in sight, I turned to Lisa.
Lisa, which one sounds good to you? Obviously the second one. I want us to raise our child together. After Stephen comes back home or on his days off, I'd like some time for myself too. Right, so for the second option, we'll add helping with childcare on weekends and after work.
As we discussed our future, Brittany returned with a lawyer's contact.
I've brought it back. Whether you contact the lawyer or not is up to you too. I'd do it if I were in your shoes.
I, of course, agreed immediately. Lisa and Brittany agreed as witnesses. Eventually, Stephen reluctantly agreed too. We left the cafe, saw Brittany off, and I drove Stephen and Lisa straight to the lawyer's office. The divorce process started without any issues. That said, we couldn't just start living apart from today. Stephen and I returned to the same house. Once we were alone as a couple, the house was filled with a heavy silence.
Considering it might be our last time together, how about I make your favorite beef stew tonight?
Yeah, sounds good.
Tomorrow, start packing and look for a new place to stay. I'll be doing the same.
I put in extra effort to make the stew better than usual. Soon, freshly made stew was placed on the dining table. I called out to Stephen, but all I got was a "just a minute." He didn't seem to be coming to the table anytime soon. While waiting for the meal, he played games on his phone. It's always the same story, he keeps me waiting with no sense of when to stop. It makes me think he acts just like a kid. I wonder if he'll do the same with Lisa. Finally, Steven sat down at the table. He took a big mouthful of the reheated stew.
Wow! This is spicy!
I took a small bite myself. The spiciness was overpowering, making my mouth burn. After managing to swallow, a fiery heat surged in my stomach. With a triumphant and cheeky grin, I didn't hesitate to say, "You wanted some excitement in your life, right? So, I made it super spicy. Make sure you eat it all." The truth is, I had mixed a super spicy sauce into the stew. I had seen this sauce being eaten by streamers on a video website, where they called it the Extra Spicy Challenge. Back then, Steven and I had casually ordered it online to try for fun, never thinking it would come in handy like this. I brought over the usual healthy meal I'd prepared for myself and began eating it in front of Steven. Steven, struggling with the spicy stew, gestured that he wanted some of my dish. "Oh, come on. You always said you couldn't eat the bland food I make. Didn't you prefer the stew?
This is too much.
Don't be so fussy. If you're struggling with this, I wonder how you'll handle Lisa's cooking." I confidently finished my mild meal and then took away Steven's phone. I opened an app, connecting to a live stream that broadcasts to viewers all over the world. I faced the camera and spoke with an excited tone.
"Now, Steven is gonna take the extra spicy stew challenge."
Steven has many friends, so he has a huge number of followers. In no time, there was a flood of viewers, all eagerly waiting to watch Steven eat.
"What are you doing?"
"Look, everyone's waiting. We gotta make this video exciting." His friends were delighted, giving him tons of likes. Among those who commented, Lisa was there too. "If you quit midway, your friends will be disappointed." Reluctantly, Steven took a bite of the super spicy stew.
"Stop it! You won't get away with this."
"Seems like your usual harsh words just got exposed to all your friends." Steven seemed at a loss for words, but the spiciness of the stew was apparently overwhelming.
"Give me water."
"I have some sweet carrot juice if you want." On the screen, my hand holding a glass is shown. I deliberately placed the glass slowly near Steven's hand. Steven, seemingly unable to wait, gulped down the juice. Suddenly, a loud scream echoed throughout the neighborhood.
"This is hot! This isn't carrot juice! What did you put in it?"
"Oh, you noticed? It has the same sauce as the stew. But it definitely has carrots in it. Carrots have vitamins and beta-carotene."
"I don't care about that right now. It's so spicy, help me."
"We have plenty more juice if you want a refill."
"Just give me water."
That scene was a huge hit in the video. Aside from the numerous comments, there were friends personally messaging Steven. "Need some excitement in your life? This might be just the right amount." The video ended with Steven struggling to finish his stew. Worn out from eating, Steven was too drained to get mad and just laid down on the couch. I told Steven it was a hit, so what's the big deal, and then retreated to my room. Seems like the stew hit him hard. Steven spent the entire night in the bathroom. The next morning, a haggard-looking Steven appeared in the living room, looking somewhat remorseful. I quickly packed my stuff, started house hunting, and left the apartment. Steven, unable to afford the rent on his own, reluctantly moved into a nearby old apartment and began a quiet life. Upon seeing Steven's living situation, Lisa decided she didn't want to get married and chose to become a single mother at our parents' home. For Steven, it seemed that Lisa running away was quite a shock. He probably realized that what Lisa had truly dreamt of wasn't marrying him, but leading a lavish and glamorous life. Of course, Lisa is relentlessly seeking child support. I started working at the hospital where Brittany works. It's reassuring and quite comfortable working alongside colleagues I get along with. As I became more settled in my job, I began introducing nutritious recipes beneficial during pregnancy at the hospital. They were very well received, and I earned a good reputation as a popular nutritionist in the local area. Drawing from my experiences and feedback from the pregnant women I met at the hospital, I've come up with several new recipes. It's a challenging job, but immensely rewarding. Of course, at the end of each recipe, I always include a note: avoid excessive spiciness.